Hi, everybody. This is Virginia Milner coming to you from the DeKalb County Library System, and we're going to make earrings today. I know you all know how much I love spirals, and I thought we would do something a little bit different, some geometric type spirals for our earrings. And I drew up some diagrams. I'm telling you right off the bat, I'm a terrible, terrible artist, but this is what I was drawing. Looks like a kid did it. This is what I was drawing in order for us to make this. Yeah, this is a better one on the back. And it's got all my little diagram and how much wire you need and et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, I thought we would do that. I thought it would be a lot of fun to do something a little bit different, shaped a little bit different, and make some statement earrings for a change. So very, very simple. The only things that you will need for this are beads and wire. So we need some 20 gauge wire. We need the beads of your choice. I would probably, well, it depends on the size earrings that you want, but they don't have to be huge earrings. I'm going to be using a couple of types of kinds of crystal. And you'll need your regular tools, round nose pliers, square nose pliers, and cutters, 20 gauge wire, and beads. And that's it, friends. That's all we need. So let's get down here and get started because I would like some new earrings. Okay, so let's get this party started. Okay, so the first one that I'm going to do, let's see, let's do the ones that actually do have a spiral in them because I just can't help myself. So what I'm going to need for my first set of earrings is 6.5 inches of wire for each one. Straightened out here. Here's my flat. There we go. Straighten these out. Wire a little straighter. Yeah. Okay, so, oh, and you'll also need a ruler so you can measure. Sorry, I haven't taken these out of the package yet. So I need 6.5 inches of wire. Do yourself 7 if you want them a little bit bigger, or 7.5. It depends on the size that you want. The ones that when I get finished with this, these will be about 1 inch, maybe 1.25 inches in size, which is about all I want. The good thing about these is they're very, very lightweight, no matter what size you make them, because you've only used wire to put them together. They're very, very lightweight, so it's nice. So I've got my wire. And the first thing I'm going to do is make a little spiral. So I'm going to grab my round nose pliers and I'm going to go right to the tip of my wire. And I'm going to make the tiniest of loops. So teeny tiny little loop. So there's my little starter of my loop. I'm going to continue wrapping the wire around itself to get a spiral going. And I'm going to grab my flat pliers and hold on to this on the side, right here on the face of the wire, the flat part. I'm just going to give myself a little spiral. So I'm just wrapping the wire around itself until I have a small spiral. Like a little pointy, so let's round that out a little better. So there I have a little spiral right there. And I'm going to bring this down a little bit closer. So now I'm going to bend my wire. So here is right where the tip is. Here's the tip that I started with. So I'm going to bend my wire right here, just above where the wire ends. Just going to give myself a little bend. Just like that. So that's what I have. And now I'm going to start with my shape. And for this one, I'm just going to make a square. I'm just going to take it all the way around and up and make a loop on top. So I'm just going to grab my flat pliers, straighten that out. And it doesn't need to be too far down. It depends on how much space you want. I'm going to go just right about here on my pliers. Not too far. I'm going to go about a quarter of the way away from my tip, a quarter of an inch or so away from the tip of my pliers. And I'm going to put a bend in it. Here is where the loopy part is. This is the back of my loop. And I'm going to bend my wire away from where the actual spiral part is. So I'm going to give myself a nice bend in my wire, like so. The first bend. Then I'm going to go over, and again, it just really depends on how big you want your earring to be. I don't want mine to be too big. You can measure it. I'm going to go about, depends on how far away I want to go. So I'm going to go about a half an inch from where it's first bent. And I'm going to make another bend, going down towards the spiral. So there's my first bend. And then I'm going to go just underneath the bottom of the spiral, and I'm going to make another bend. Towards where the spiral is. So there we go. Here's my other bend. So this is what I have so far. And I'm going to make another bend, going up the side here. Again, I'm going to go right just beyond the spiral and bend up. Here we go. Now this, I think, is a little wider than I want. Now you go, oh no, you ruined it. No, not really, because I can go back in and rebend it. And the more I work with this, the more work hardened it gets. So it's to my benefit, even if I make a little mistake or if I decide to change the size. So I'm going to go scoot over. This is where I've been at before. I'm going to scoot over just a fraction of an inch and rebend it. That was my hammer. There. So it's a little less wide. Now I have to rebend this because I want it to be a square. Go down just below my spiral and bend it. There we go. Much better. And now I have to rebend this one also. So I want it to be a nice square just beyond my spiral here. And bend. There, looks like my picture. Ta-da! Not too shabby. Yeah. Okay, so now I need to bend it across the top so I can make my loop. So one more little bend right up here just beyond the top of my first bend. And that over top. Oof, look at that, we have just enough wire. And now I can make my loop on top. Now I want my loop to be about in the center. It depends on how you want it to hang. If you want it to hang like this on your ear, which is pretty neat. Oh, I like that. You can put your, you can put the loop on the side. But if you want it to hang like this, you put your loop in the center. So in order to get my loop in the center, I just need to snip off this little end till it's just beyond the edge of my wire. Just a little beyond. I have this little tip here that I don't want to go flying across the room, so I'm going to cut it down in here. Boom. There it is, right there in the bottom. And now let's make my loop. So I'm going to grab, so here's my earring essentially. Neat, huh? So now I'm going to grab my round nose pliers. And I like to make a little bend on the very tip before I start my actual loop, because then it's curved a little tighter. It's just my own little hack. Okay, and then I'll go down to where I want to go on my pliers to make my loop, which for me is about a third of the way down my pliers. And then I'm going to rotate back, open my pliers, rotate again, clamp down, and rotate until I have a full loop. Now, like I said, I want my loop to be in the center, so it's going to be right here, which means I need to scoot it over just a little bit. It's better to have to cut some off and move it over than it is to have it too short. That's why I said to cut off your wire just beyond the end of your earring. That way I have a little bit to work with. So I need to snip off just a tiny little bit so that I can move this over to the center. So let's give it another little wrap. See where I end up. That's better, but still not quite there. Just a tiny little fraction more, and I should be right where I need to go. Okay. And then just make whatever adjustments you need to make. And there we have it. There's my earring. However, if you wanted to decorate this a little bit, say you wanted to dangle a bead here, or we could put a bead here, which is exactly what I want to show you how to do. So we can just have it just like that, just have an earring like this. That's pretty, works for me. Or we can put a bead. Let's do that. So I'm going to get another one. On my little picture, I had it both ways. I have it with and without a bead. So let's go ahead and get 6.5 more inches of wire. Okay. Snip that off. make a spiral, grab the tip right here on the tip, and start making a spiral here, just like we did before. Just kind of wrapping it around itself. I'm going to grab my flat pliers, continue my loop. And it just depends on how big you want your spiral to be. That will determine how many rotations you give your loops. That's big enough. Now I'm going to bend it until the wire's right in the center of my spiral, just like before. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to introduce a bead to my wire. So I'm going to have a nice little bead down there. Something we didn't have before, just a little bead. So now I'm going to bend my wire. Before we use the pliers, but now we just use our fingers because I have that bead there, and I can just bend it on top of the bead. Spin that back, just like so. Just like this, except with the bead. Straighten that out a little bit. Okay. Yeah, there we go. I'll grab my pliers. I'm just going to go, where's my ruler here? I'm going to get the same length that I went on the other one. About ½ inch. So maybe a little smaller. And I'm going to bend my wire down. Like so. And I'm going to make another bend here at the bottom, just beneath the top of my pliers is just below my spiral. There we go. Make another bend like that. Go over here to the tip. Again, just be beyond my spiral. Here's the end of my spiral. And give myself another bend. Is that far enough down? Looks a little far apart, doesn't it? Once again, I think I'm going to have to rebend. And this is just my decision. It doesn't have to be yours. So I'm going to scoot this over just a little bit closer to the bead because I want it a little smaller. So just open it up, scoot that over just a little bit. Here's where the original bend was. Move it over about 1/4 inch and bend. I like that a little better. Yeah. I need to rebend this because I want it also a little closer to my spiral. And then I'm going to use these flat pliers. Okay, there we go. And let's go back over here, just beneath the spiral, just like the last one. And bend. And then I'm going to move this one over as well. my little adjustments. Yeah. Okay. Just beyond my spiral, just like I did the other one. And yeah. Yes. Nice. Last bend is right over the top. Just above where this line is, where this little first bend is. And that. There we go. Scoot that in just a little bit. And again, the more you work with it, the more it stabilizes the wire. So that's a good thing. And now it's time. I'm debating. I think this should be over just a little more. Just a tiny bit. What do you think? I think so. Just a teeny tiny bit. No, I think it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Okay. So now I just need to snip this off just beyond the end of my wire and make that little more square. There. And make my loop. Clippers. Cut it just a fraction of an inch beyond the end here. Snip that off. Grab my round nose pliers. Where are you? And make my loop. I'm going to do my little hack. Just go down here and make a tiny little partial loop. And then go down a third of the way down my pliers to make the rest of my loop. Just rotate until it's closed. And then make whatever manipulations I need to. This one came pretty close to center the first time. Nice. Straighten it up till it looks the way I want. And there's my there's my earring. I love it. Isn't that neat? Fun. I cheated. I already had this. I already had one. You didn't think I didn't already have one, did you? This is a little high. I might have to bring that down just a tiny bit. That's okay. Oops, I'm going to leave it down here where you can see. Yay. Then I'll make the other one like this off camera. I might dangle a little bead from it. We'll see. And then last but not least, I thought I would make, where is it? This one. This one, we put a spiral on the inside. But for this one, I thought we would put a loop on the outside and have a loop on top and a loop on bottom, so it'll look like that. And then we'll put a little coil in the center. Can you see that? Fun. Let's do it. Okay. So for this, I need 7 inches of wire. 7 inches, 7, 7. 7 inches. There we go. So what I'm going to do is make a coil in the center, like that. So that's a little coil. So it needs to kind of be in the center. And because I'm rolling it towards the center, I need to start a little away from center because I'm going to be coiling in one direction. So I'm going to start about a third of the way down my wire. So I'm going to grasp my wire about a third of the way down the wire because I want a nice sized coil. So I'm going to go a third of the way down my pliers, and I'm going to start a rotation. See how I have a good 1 3/4 inches or so to accommodate my coil. So I'm going to start my rotations. I'm just rotating. I'm going to get to a point where I can't go any further because this is in the way of my pliers, right? So I'm going to have to open this up and go behind that wire, clamp back down, and continue to rotate until I get to where I can't go any further again. And then go back behind that wire and continue. Now I'm just going to make 3 rotations. That's plenty. I want them nice and close together. There we go. So there's my little coil. So now what I'm going to do is push my coils together. I want them to be nice and close. Here we go. And you can decide which is going to be the front and back of your earring. You can either have this coil going outwards where it's visible or going behind to the back of your ear. It's entirely up to you how you want to do that. So got my coil. And I want them to be opposite of each other, just like that. So now what I'm going to do is start making my little bends. So the first thing I'm going to do is just slide my wire down my pliers about a third of the way because I don't want this to be huge. So it's resting right on the top of my coil. I'm going to clamp down on my wire and I'm going to put a bend in it. Just like that. And then I'm going to go, twist it. There we go. Because I want it right to the side. Then I'm going to go right beside my coil again, just to the outside of it. Just to make sure this is straight. Let me straighten that out a little bit. There. Just beside my coil. And it just depends on how big you want it to be. I don't want it to be huge. Okay, so there's my coil, and I want my pliers to rest as if it was resting right on my coil. And I'm going to bend again down towards where the other wire is. So there we have that, and a bend right there. Now they're kind of side by side. And now we're going to bend the other wire, the longer one that we haven't been doing anything with yet. We're going to go right underneath the coil. And we're going to bend this long one out to the side. Needs to be straight out to the side. Boop. Like so. Now we're going to bring the same one up towards the top. Again, I'm bringing my pliers over right beside where the coil is ending. And I'm going to bring the wire up like so. So far, so good. I had to make some adjustments, but you get the idea. Isn't that neat? And now it's time to make my loops. So I'm going to bring one over to make one loop and this one over to make the other loop. So again, I'm going to take my pliers and place them just above where the other wire is ending. The bottom of my pliers at the top of the wire, and put a bend in. And I'm going to go to the other side and do the same thing. Bottom of my pliers to the top of my wire and bend. Here we go. There it is. There's my vision. Nice. It works. All right. So now let's cut it off and make our loops. Once again, I'm going to go just beyond the side here. Snip that off. Go to the other side and do the same thing. Snip that off. Yes. A little bit more. Just a tiny bit. And let's make my loops. But first, before I do that, let's do some manipulation because I can see it's not laying flat. Let's put it down here and lay it out. And another thing that you can do once you get to this point, if you're not sure, I mean, these are earrings. They're not going to be carrying any weight or anything like that. But if you want to make sure that it's a little bit more secure, you can grab a little hammer, just making sure everything's nicely balanced. So it lays flat. There we go. You can grab a rubber mallet and just give it a little pounding. Don't pound your coil, of course. You're going to be working with this enough that should take care of most of the work hardening that you need. But if you want a little more security, pound away. Okay, now I'm going to take my pliers, go down here to the tip, make a little partial curve, go back a third of the way down my pliers and make a loop. Just rotate until I have a nice closed loop. There we go. I'm going to move it over just a tiny bit more to get it closer to center. So I'm going to cut a fraction of an inch, or maybe a 16th of an inch off of the tip. And close that up again. There we go. Much more centered. Can I go over a little further? Yeah, tiny bit. Just a tiny, tiny bit. Just a tiny bit. There we go. Nice. Go to the other side and make another loop. And make my adjustments as needed. Here they are. Neat. I like it. What do you think? Cool beans. And then you need to make another one going the opposite direction because it's going to be mirrored. So what now? Let's dangle something. That's why I have these pretty little teardrop beads. Let's dangle a bead. Yeah. So I'm going to grab some wire. Just a little piece. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I'm going to make a pin. So I'm going to need a good 2.5, 3 inches of wire. Take my pliers, my round nose pliers. I'm going to go down here just at the tip, and I'm going to make a loop. And I'm going to continue to loop until I have 2 rotations, 2.5. So there's the end. There's my 2 rotations. And I'm going to bend my wire up like so. And I'm going to push the tail end of my wire through that little coil. I'm going to pull it down. Takes a little manipulation, a little push-pull motion. Once I get it to a certain point, I might need my pliers because it's harder to manipulate. So I'm just pushing the tail in my little coil. Until I can get it as tight as I can get it into a little knot. So now I have tight, 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 a little knotted head pin. Slide my bead on. See how much extra wire I have? I eyeballed it. I probably got too much. See? A little knot at the bottom. And let's just wrap this so I can put it on the bottom of my earring. So I'm going to bend my wire back, grab my pliers, And I just want a little tiny bit of space between the top of my bead and the fold of my wire. Then I'm going to slide down. I don't need too big a loop, so I'm going to slide down about 1/4 of the way down my pliers, bring my wire over the top of my pliers and down the side of my bead. Then I'm going to open up my pliers without taking the wire out, rotate back and clamp back down until my pliers are right on top of my bead. I'm going to bring the wire the rest of the way around, like so, until I have a loop. So now I have a nice little loop there. I'm going to grab my square pliers. Just hold on, and you don't have to squeeze too tightly, but just enough to keep it in place. And now I'm going to wrap the wire around my bead, and I'm just going to give myself a little cap on top of my bead, just a little decoration. Neat, huh? That's it. Just a little cap. And you can snip off that end. And push that tail down, a little tip down so it doesn't catch on anything. And there's my little bead. And last but not least, I'm going to put it on my earring. So I'm just going to open this up on the side. I'm not going to pull the loop apart. I'm going to flip it up like that. Slide my bead on, my closed ring inside the open ring, and then push it closed again. Just twist it closed. And there's my earring. Isn't that neat? So again, you can decide whether or not you want the coil part to be on the outside like this, or if you want it to go on the other side like this. It's a design choice. But before we go any further, I'm going to show you how to make an ear wire to go with it. Well, to go with all of your earrings, really. So I'm going to cut about 2.5 inches to 3, depending on how long you want them, of wire. I don't need it too long, so I'm going to give myself 2.5 inches of wire. Snip that off. Grab my pliers, make a small loop. You can see I was going to do a third one, but since I did this one, we'll save that one for another day. Make a tiny partial loop and go down about 1/3 of the way down my pliers to make my actual loop. Just rotate until I have closed loop. And then I can take my pliers. It depends on what size you want your loop to be. You can either use the size of your side of your pliers. You can use the your round nose pliers. You can use an ink pen. Let me see if I have an ink pen sitting here somewhere, or a pencil or something like that. It just depends on the size that you want. I'm going to go with this ink pen because it's here and I'm going to use it. I'm going to go just below where my ring ends. So there's the ring, and it's going away from the ink pen. And I'm going to bring my wire around the ink pen and over until it bumps into the top of my loop. I'm going to pull that out, and I'm going to just make a very graceful little curve in my wire, long edge of my wire. curve it with your fingers. You don't have to use any special tools for this. Just give it a little curve. And if you want this a little less large, you can squeeze it in a little bit. Then I'm going to clip off the end right there, about a ½ inch below your loop. Snip that off. See, I had 2½ inches and we needed about 2. Snip that off. And there we go. I could probably make it a little shorter even. There's my ear wire. And then I'm going to take my pliers. It could be your round nose or your flat nose. And just grab the tip and give it a little tweak, just a little bend. Just like that. And there's my ear wire. And what you want to do after you do this, you want to take just an emery board or a nail file and kind of round out the edges, because you don't want to put this sharp edge in your ear. You want to make sure it's nice and smooth. So just take an emery board or a nail file or something like that, or some sandpaper, and just round out this edge so that it's safe to wear. And let's open it up on the side, because both of these are open. Either one of these can open. I can either open this or I can open this. And I can slide on my ear wire. Now, again, this is the flat side, and this is the side where the coil's sticking out. Which way do I want it to go? I think I'm going to go like that. Yeah. Close it up. There it is. Here's my earring. Isn't that neat? I love it. I'll do the ear wires for these later. And I'll make the matching one for this later. And the matching one for this. Yay, 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 yay. I love it when a plan comes together. Aren't those neat? I just love it. Okay, that's it, ladies and gents. We are making a statement with, I can't wait to make this other one. We are making a statement with, well, I'm looking at this is a little more rounded than I want. I can still make adjustments, no problem. Boop. That's better. Yeah. But that's it. That's our program. See how easy that is? We got 3 pairs of earrings that we can make just out of an idea in your head. Looks like the Twilight Zone or something. I don't know why I thought of this, but I'm so used to doing spirals and things that I thought it would be nice to do something just a little bit different. And that's how this was born. So here we are. Here are our earrings, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you enjoy this. These are light as a feather. I hope that you enjoyed this, because I think these are so neat. I'm going to put these on. They'll go with my red. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, let me know. If you didn't, let me know why not, so that I can make improvements. But in the meantime, I hope you did enjoy it, and I hope that you'll make your own version. And not only that, you don't have to stop where I stopped. You can use the longer wire and just keep on going up, 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 up. It's very architectural. So it's really, really neat to be able to play with something like this because it's really open-ended. It depends on where you want to go with it. It's really up to you. So show me what you got. I would love to see it. I would love to see your ideas. I love to see my ideas come together, and I would love to see what you do with this and how you build on it or how you create your own design. Love it. But things are starting to open up a little bit, and I'm getting my instant gratification by being able to be in the classroom with people. I did a class the other day, and they just took off. I mean, it was just amazing. I gave them the basics. Every single one of them came out completely different. They built on it. They said, oh, I like this, but I think I'll add that. I think I'll change this. And it was just beautiful. Every piece came out completely different. And they made it their own. And I was so happy. So I would love to see what you do. Please show me. But in the meantime, let me know how you enjoyed this. Get in contact with me at jewelrygen20@gmail.com. That's JEWELRY20@gmail.com. JEWELRYGIN20@gmail.com. And send me your pictures, send me your comments and your feedback, or you can also post it on the library Facebook page, which is just facebook.com/DeKalb Library. And just post it right where you see the link for this tutorial. I would love to see it. They would love to see it. We like to see what you do. Until next time, everybody, have a good week. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.